Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio, the only show that forgoes its usual morning business to come at you live immediately following AEW All In. We got a big time show for you today. I'm excited. I'm jazzed off of a great main event, and we'll talk about the rest of the show. I'm your host, Ryan Knightsey. With me, as always, is the man, the myth, the legend, Scotty Edwards. Scotty, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I had some big takes during that show that I'm gonna say them on the show eventually. And while you ended up being correct, like wait till the main event and then we'll see how we feel. I still feel like my take is valid. But I'll save it. I'll save it till we get to the actual show. But I am good. It is a Sunday night here, Sunday evening for those who we didn't do the Ring Post Radio Nights song, which is a shame. But it's okay. It's okay. We're here to talk All In and every other thing that's happening right now because wrestling is loud and boisterous, and I'm excited and I'm ready. I'm talking myself into it. And much like that Hangman photo you showed, I also suffer for character building. So it's fine.
Yeah, we have a lot to get to today. Obviously, we're going to talk about All In that literally just happened, just took place. We are giving our immediate reactions. This is something we typically do, obviously, as a separate episode. But because of, this happening on Sunday, happening in the middle of the day, obviously, we decided that Ring Post Radio got postponed to nights or afternoons, which is, is that a third theme song I have to make? I don't know. Think about it. There it is. There's the smooth jazz stylings of Ring Post Radio nights. But we are not just talking about All In. We'll probably talk about All In a lot, but we're not just going to talk about that. We're going to try to talk about WWE's Bash in Berlin, also taking place this weekend. New Japan has a show as well this weekend, Capital Collision. We have a lot to talk about because there's so much stuff to talk about. So we will try our best to get to it all. So thank you for joining us. If you're here live listening to us, if you're listening to us after the fact, we thank you as well. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube, subscribe to the Apple Podcasts, wherever you get podcasts, so you make sure to listen to everything else that comes out later for all of our shows here on the Countout Network. All right, Scotty, obviously we're starting with the main event. That, of course, being Bryan Danielson winning the big one finally after, it only took him losing his contract to no longer to finally become world champion. But Bryan Danielson has officially become the AEW World Champion by defeating Swerve Strickland in the main event at Wembley Stadium in front of, I think last time I checked, 53,000 people. So what are your immediate reactions to the main event that just took place about, 30 minutes ago?
My immediate reaction is Wembley's really big and red seats stick out more than like normal seats because I was like, there's 53K people in here and you could hear it, you could feel it. But I was like, why are there some empty spots? Like, this is insane. Like, this is just a big venue. In all seriousness, the main event, that's why we watch the show. That's why we watch pro wrestling, right? That's why we're here. That's why All In had hype. I think the two best matches of the show were the two world title matches on the show. And I think for me, it was comfortably those two. People are going to have their thoughts about MJF and Ospreay, I'm sure, and so on and so forth. And, if the surprises of the gauntlet got you, I'm sure you're going to prefer that as well. But for me, it was the two world title matches. But of course, this was the cream of the crop. Bryan, this is his quote, fucking Danielson, is just the absolute unbelievable. You said it right. This feels like a WrestleMania main event. I've seen this video before. I've seen this before. I've seen the Danielson moment before in my life, and it just gets better and better and better. I said to my friend I was watching the show, I said to him, how am I sitting here, right? And these yes chants are as loud as they were over a decade ago. How is that possible? That is how incredible this man is as a professional wrestler, is as a fan favorite. And I want to give credit to the man he faced, Swerve Strickland. He was in the perfect spot. He was the ideal champion for this role because he's willing to go out there, play the heel to perfection, and they told a tremendous story, gave you all the physicality, gave you all the drama. Unbelievable, fantastic main event.
Yeah, I mean, just like immediate reactions. Fantastic main event. I think incredibly emotional. The story hit on all fronts. I thought it was laid out perfectly. I think it is easily match of the year contender. I'm not gonna blow away say match of the year right now because I don't want to, because I'm thinking emotionally, and I got that's a thing, a statement you have to think out there. But I don't. I wouldn't be shocked if it gets match of the year votes at all. This match was undoubtedly great. I thought the wrestling in here was fantastic. The psychology obviously was great. Even there are going to be people, obviously, Scotty, that are going to balk about Hangman Adam Page's run-in. I don't remember if the referee was knocked. No, the referee I don't believe was knocked out. But Hangman Page, Adam Page runs in, and you're gonna get people that balk and say, oh, more outside interference or more distractions that yada yada yada. Number one, that happened in the middle of the match. Number two, it served the purpose of getting that out of the way of the finish, right? Like I all week in preparation, I was sort of getting on this idea of like, man, they are really selling this idea a lot of this is the end of Danielson. His career's on the line. They have all these sort of things set up, and it's very important that they have to. And we talked about that 6 weeks ago or so about the build to this show and about how the one thing that is lacking about Bryan Danielson's run here was that we don't believe that this is his last match ever, right? That at the time it was like, oh, he's going to continue wrestling. He'll be a part-time wrestler and yada, yada, yada. The story of the match, they needed to convert that into his career was on the line. And I think they successfully made that pivot. They really, really made it felt like not just, across, just regular media, across, insiders, across all these people really selling the idea that Danielson's done here in this company. And I think that, the Hangman Adam Page stuff and everything, you have number one contender Darby, a perennial swerve rivalry. Christian Cage, a guy that obviously we talked about him, but he can obviously he's formerly face Swerve Strickland. Hangman Adam Page losing, so that does Hangman Adam Page losing earlier tonight doesn't give away that Swerve is winning the title. Not necessarily. So all these things. Not just this one match, but the lead up, the booking, the story, everything that led into a great match, let alone the match being great itself, all led to, I think, an insanely great moment. I texted you before, just during the entrances, that there was the one shot I got it from Scotty was that drone shot during Swerve's entrance over the arena. I texted you and said, they have achieved for me WrestleMania vibes, and it all came down to the match. And I don't think we will have another blow away successful match in WrestleMania anytime shortly on that similar level of emotional storytelling mixed with fantastic pro wrestling. No, you're never gonna get both in WWE. You're going to get both in AEW, and I'm so happy we were able to see this tonight. It was undoubtedly one of the best matches of the year, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I could be the contrarian and say it was desperately needed after.
I know, and I don't disagree.
An interesting show, to say the least, with one of the biggest returns happening on the pre-show. But like the thing with Danielson and Swerve is that they're both great storytellers, but they're also both great professional wrestlers, right? And, you know, it's funny that this happened in the week that people were debating on Twitter. What's more important, the storytelling or the in-ring? And, you know, a lot of people said the best wrestlers tell the story in the ring. And that's what I watched here in the main event. I think the Hangman piece was actually good business. I think it was very simple yet effective, right? Hangman filled with rage, just couldn't help himself. In a way, you don't know what he's going to do, right? That's probably my favorite part of it all. We didn't know what he was going to do. He could have just cost Danielson the title because he didn't want anyone besides himself to take that title. He could have cost Swerve. We just don't know. Ultimately, in the end, you build that next chapter for those two while also not really ruining the match at all. I thought it was a fine little point because, like you said, it happened before the finish even came about. They would still fight for another
I was like, nowhere
minutes.
close to the finish.
Right. They had another chapter to go through in the match. You know, I don't know how long Bryan Danielson's going to wrestle. I don't know how long. And I've been saying this since he said it last year. That's the funny part. I said to you, because we had talked about, well, all until his last match. I was like, is it though? Like, I don't know. I don't know when his last match is. And, you know, they specifically said on commentary, he said this is his last full-time active year. And I was like, there you go. That's all I need to hear. I think it's an incredible match, fitting of the All In main event, felt fitting of the All In main event. The moment felt fitting in the All In main event. And let me just say this. Swerve Strickland held the AEW World Championship for 126 days, and he accomplished more than MJF did in 406 days, than John Moxley did in 59, than CM Punk did in 3, than John Moxley did in 11, and 59, and 87, and I don't mean to be this mean to Hangman, but did more than he did in 197. Like, you get my point. This is not a shot at all these people. MJF, it was a shot. But Swerve Strickland goes down as one of the all-time great AEW world champions. And this is just the beginning for him. This is his first run. He's going to have more. He re-signed today. This guy is one of the faces of AEW. When you look at the faces of AEW moving forward in a post-Bryan Danielson era, which sadly is coming sooner than later, Swerve is right at the forefront.
We say as the guy holds the top belt of the company.
Yeah, well, you know. I
understand.
But, like, Swerve did everything he could in 126 days to become a different being. He has the aura of a world champion. He felt like the world champion of pro wrestling during his reign.
I fully agree. I thought Swerve's title reign has been fantastic. It was a great use of elevation and a great use of beating top stars to help with that elevation. Because what's interesting to me, Scotty, is, you know, we tend to bash the man. But I fully think, at least for me, I fully think that this title reign did way more for Swerve than it did for MJF. And, you know, whereas, you know, if you want to look at like business metrics and all that stuff, whereas the business may be moving a little slow with Swerve, it's not really falling. Now,
right.
Can it fall further? I mean, it certainly could, but, you know, the business hasn't, you know, fallen. Whereas MJF's title reign, he's elevating, he's beating all these top stars, but it definitely feels like droves of people are leaving. And to the point where you and I were like, how much more of this do we need to talk about and cover? I don't want to talk about this guy anymore. Where it got really rough. And both title reigns serve the purpose of elevating top stars, right? That is the idea. We're going to finally elevate MJF into that top title picture. We're going to finally elevate Swerve into that top title picture. And I think, for my personal belief, and I think to a lesser extent business-wise, this Swerve title reign did way more than MJF's did. I think Swerve is undoubtedly a top guy in his company now. I hope, obviously we didn't read the contract, but I imagine he's making top money now. And yeah, I'm glad we're giving him his flowers, because, you know, we're not going to be the only podcast that gives this guy his flowers, because He has been great. He was great here. I was literally just thinking, would be interesting to go back and think about Swerve's first match, winning the title off of Samoa Joe, compared to this match. And I wonder how, it doesn't feel like that would be big night and day, right? I mean, even then, that match got a 7.61 on Cage Match, right?
Mm-hmm.
That feels so low, but also 7.61 into what is probably, I don't know what is that right now. I don't even know if Cage Match has enough with all the new stuff. So yes, 26 votes, super early, a 9.44. Not to say that's night and day, but we're talking like a 3.5 star match into a potential 5-er. So there's a 9, and granted, obviously Bryan Danielson's a different animal. But I think Swerve is definitely a part of that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if it's about the match quality when it comes to Swerve changing. It's just Swerve.
I picked that up as an example of the growth in Swerve's wrestling.
Yeah, for sure.
Specifically.
Yeah, I mean, he's grown as a wrestler. We've seen him have great matches over the past couple of years, but he has become I call him the ultimate world champion of wrestling because he just felt that way. He carried himself that way. He presented himself that way. There was part of me going into the show by the time halfway through the main event, I wanted nothing more than Bryan Danielson to win. But, half of me going into the show, I said oh man, Swerve has just found this groove that I don't know if I want to take him out of.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be okay because, he's got the Hangman stuff to go right into, and he'll come back around, right? He'll come back around. And, this Danielson moment, losing to Bryan Danielson is not a bad thing,
Yeah. Because what it did do is also put him in the main event spot, of
It put him exactly. Mm-hmm. It put him in the main event spot. Last year, he was losing a coffin match to Sting and Darby Allin, right? What a difference a year makes. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how they follow up with him. But I have full confidence, he is one of those guys that's not going to disappear from TV, right?
Yeah. I was going to ask, where do both of these guys go moving forward?
Danielson's Danielson's a different one.
Yeah.
We have him until he's losing,
Yeah, I think Danielson is his title's on the line and then he retires or something. And
yeah.
I think if he is moving into a part-time schedule, I guess the question would be whether or not he re-signs or something like that. It does a part-time schedule. But I think I would love to see him as the guy on the mountaintop that when a guy climbs up the rankings,
yeah,
Danielson comes down to knock him back down the ratings or whatever. I would like to see that. I think I messaged you. I did mention on the show the idea of what if he just gives up the belt, and I would do that. but you never know. I don't know what's happening with this guy. It leaves me incredibly intrigued about what's going to happen on Dynamite.
I think that when Darby won that title shot, it was. Now we kind of know it's okay, this is the guy Danielson didn't get to have a singles match against that he wants to. And I kind of think that might be his entire title reign is who do I want to check off before I get out of here? And if I had to guess, Wrestle Dream is probably the final spot, which is, not that far away, but it's enough room for him to get a defense here. And, again, with Danielson, I don't think he has maybe the health to hang in either, that those have been reported. This guy's neck is not doing great, but for now he's here, and for now we get to appreciate him. So I'm excited for whatever he does, and then with Swerve, it's Hangman. That is what's next.
Yep.
End of story. And All Out's going to be a better pay-per-view than All In again. Shocker. That's just the theme now, right? Honestly, after the Christian Cage thing, I know it's a kind of a Money in the Bank thing. I would act like it's not a Money in the Bank thing now and just do Danielson and Christian Cage at All Out or something. Because no offense to Christian Cage with that shitty story with Luchasaurus that will never leave me alone. I just do the title match. I don't need the cash in of Christian Cage unless they have this idea of getting into Christian Cage because Danielson can't wrestle that much longer.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. We'll see. But I'm excited because
Yeah.
of this match, and that's good.
I will say, because we didn't touch on it too much, but obviously the wrestling is great, and there's talking ball nonsense that we can do, of course. But I want to touch on just I haven't been this emotionally attached to a wrestling storyline in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's probably because I'm at that point in my life, Scotty, where I'm like in between wedding, in between like starting a family and stuff.
Yeah.
This obviously is not an announcement. We're nowhere close to that. But just the feeling of like knowing that like I would like to have a family at one point, and then seeing that, like, I don't think I will ever forget the moment where Bryan Danielson's getting his chest caved in by Swerve, and then a la, I don't know, let's say Big Tom-ish or something like that. Getting up and looking at his kids and his family and saying, "I love you, I love you, I love you." That tugged so much on my heartstrings. That burrowed me, just like Swerve's chest burrowed into Danielson's. His leg burrowed into Danielson's chest. That burrowed into my heart. And that burrowed into my brain, Scotty, because that was such an emotional, like, that was obviously the promo package did a lot of that setting up as well, setting the table for that sort of moment. But I thought that was just emblematic of Danielson, both in the moment of seeing his family and in the moment of getting his shit kicked in a wrestling match. He reminds himself that these are one and the same, that wrestling and his family are one and the same, that he loves them equally. With that same sort of passion. And it's God damn, man. Telling, you told that in the ring. You told it in the ring. That moment. Obviously, Brian's getting across with the vocal saying, "Oh, I love you," and all that stuff. But even then, you don't even have to say it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you get the message across. And this match was really good. This match was incredibly strong.
Did anyone else think that maybe Birdie would get booed? No. Was that just me? Since she's the reason he's retiring. I saw her. I was like, please don't boo her. I was like,
I wanted just a big loud Bree mode chant. That's what I wanted.
Oh yeah, I did that. So don't worry. I yelled Bree mode. But yeah, fantastic match. Shout out to Bryan Danielson. What a guy.
Mm-hmm.
What a year he's
and
had.
I'm fascinated to see where we go forward with this easily.
Yeah. He should just hear me out here, not retire. All right, thank you.
I think we all agree he should not retire. From there, okay, why don't we talk about the show from there?
Is anyone else scared about AEW post Bryan Danielson?
I'm also
fascinated.
So let's talk about the news, right? So I believe they only made 2 announcements.
So pretty big ones.
Well, I guess 3 or 2. I don't remember. So they formally announced that they are going to Forbidden Door in London. Let me pull up the date here.
August 24th, 2024.
Perfect. Or 2025. So they formally announced that it is being in London. It's kind of, I guess, replacing the All In Wembley spot. It's going to be Forbidden Door instead. That presumes to me that All Out is still happening in September, which I think that's honestly a little bit better of a switch here, going from a New Japan joint show into All Out. And
I'd also assume U.S. Grand Slam is now gone.
I would assume that as well, because the other thing that obviously was announced was that Grand Slam in 2025 is going to be in Australia. It is going to be Suncorp Stadium, February 15th, 2025. I also looked up that stadium hosts about 52 to 60,000, depending on how much they set up for wrestling.
That's insane to me.
Obviously, in July they will then run what is that?
All In.
Yes, All In and the
Texas
Arlington.
Globe Life.
Thank you. I'm losing my mind. In Texas, they will run that, which is another 50,000 seater at minimum, and then in August they'll run London somewhere. They didn't really. They had no mention of Wembley. They had no mention of Wembley, Wembley in the graphics or anything either in the imagery.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're going to Wembley. They could go to the O2. They can go to Craven Cottage, which is something obviously Tony Khan has got up. Craven Cottage is 25,000 roughly.
I like that. I like
O2
smaller.
is smaller, but so we'll see. We'll see where that is. But yeah, we have at
They also announced All In 2026 in London.
Yes, that was
at the very end.
Did they announce it during
at
the
Wembley?
Show? Okay,
at the very end, like they just flashed it on the screen. I was like, oh, sick.
Perfect. Yes. Then we, I guess, technically also got that announcement as well. So yeah, we have 3 stadium shows at minimum on the horizon for AEW.
I don't want to steal a Trevor Dame quote, but this company doesn't even have a TV contract.
Yes, the quote here. It's kind of crazy. AEW has announced 2 pay-per-views for 2025 when they're not going to have TV by then. Still don't know anything about the TV deal. Tony Khan, I believe, is in the middle of the presser, so we'll get. I think it's Danielson first, so we'll see if we get any news out of that. But I doubt he will be announcing a TV. Well, I guess he could, but I doubt he'll be announcing it there. I imagine it'll be a sort of media, all blitz media, Warner Brothers sort of gimmick that they'll announce over social media or something. But yeah, so we'll see what happens there. Obviously, we have no news about the TV deal, but big time stadium shows. And so to bring it all back, because I brought up the stadium shows for the reason is that, we're talking February, July, and then we'll sort of see what happens after then. And obviously you start booking that far out when you feel confident in something. Like I said, I think Swerve has maintained a lot, grew in some areas, didn't stagnated in others, sort of thing in terms of the business. But it feels like now that Danielson's holding the title, I think the idea is that they feel AEW feels confident that their business is going to grow, not just stateside, but obviously internationally. So I am fascinated to see what that looks like, and what other stuff they have in store for all that for a whole year, obviously, right? Because if something falls apart, they're screwed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like confidently, I think Forbidden Door will be a sellout, like no questions asked. I do feel that way, assuming a smaller building than 80K, which they would have said it was Wembley if it was Wembley. So whether it's Craven Cottage, whether it's the O2, whatever it is, I think that will be fine. That Australia show, I don't know, like wasn't Perth when WWE did Perth, right? And I know that's not like the main part of Australia, but didn't they do a normal arena?
Let's see. 2024 they did the Optus Stadium in Perth, 47,927. So basically 48.
Okay, I guess. Okay, so they did a big one. All right, maybe not. But we'll see. That's all I'll say. We'll see how that goes.
What's the capacity on this bad boy? Ooh, 60, about 65 to 70,000 was the capacity of the. What did I say? The Optus Stadium.
And that's my point. One, it's Perth, so it's not. I'm assuming wherever the AEW one's happening is in more like Melbourne type area, maybe.
I'll look that up.
But it's big. It's scary, but good for them for going out big. I'm sure they're getting paid a lot of money to do it. We'll see where we are at February, right? Like you said, you got 2 stadium shows now next year, one in Australia, one in America. I don't even know what you book. I don't, like because for example,
it feels like Danielson's on top for both of those shows, right? But that we're going as far as July, right? With that,
right? Like I don't think he's making it that far.
Mm-hmm.
At least like as a full-time guy, he'll be part-time by then. So it's like, What do you do? Like for WWE, they had Rhea,
Yeah.
right?
You telling me Buddy Matthews is moving numbers?
I don't think Kyle Fletcher's is going to make the strides to make
By
that
February?
work by then. Yeah, so maybe Aussie Open's back or something like that, but they could desperately need that, by the way. But yeah, I don't know, but it's cool, good for them. I'm excited to see how it all goes. Hopefully, All In can be the launching point for them as we move forward into continuing to build momentum. And I think a Bryan Danielson World Championship run, probably the final one of his career,
Yep,
can do a lot of good, however long it goes.
The Suncorp Stadium is in Brisbane, Australia, on the east coast, whereas Perth was on the west coast.
Yeah. Okay. So I believe that's a better location, just based off of what I know from the Australians that I know. But
it's also nicknamed.
We'll see.
I found this out. Also nicknamed the Cauldron. So I'm down. I want to see wrestling in the Cauldron, man. That sounds great. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what kind of number they'll do, but it's exciting to try it.
And I'm also enjoying that they did Wembley 1 year, got that 80,000 plus. They did it a second year and got 53 was the last number I saw. Maybe they got a couple more walk-ups and all that stuff, but still a great number. And now they're booking stadiums that are going to be roughly 50K. So it's like now they're basically setting a bar and they're like, okay, this is what we can book. So I'm fascinated to see how they do. It's all going to come down to obviously the booking and seeing the business turn around. The question is, does this Bryan Danielson turn business around? I gotta believe he's going to. He's not turn it around, but improve it greatly. So I'm fascinated to see. But I think a thing that might need to help it, Scotty, is maybe a little bit of that undercard. That could. I don't think Bryan Danielson's going to do it alone, and I don't know, man. I think he needs. Maybe he'll need some help.
I was watching this show and I was asking myself, like, what happened? I was like, what happened to the roster?
Yeah, this was a interesting show. Like, as great as the main event was, there was not a lot of great stuff on this show.
No,
it was not a frustrating watch, but a just sort of like I don't think anything to me was egregiously bad. I found merit in stuff, as we'll talk about, but nothing to me was like egregiously bad. But it was just like a lot of like, if the main event sucked, which there was no reality where that was going to be the case. But if that sucked, then I was like, I don't know about this show, man. But even then, I mean, I think you and I have differing opinions about other issues as well. But we'll get to all that. I guess we'll start in the semi-main and work up backwards, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine. It's not really a good way to do this.
Yeah, I was like, I don't really know where we go. So the AEW TNT title match, obviously a coffin match. Jack Perry defeats Darby Allin 10 minutes and 37 seconds. I saw this match, and as it ended, I thought to myself, that's it?
Yeah, I asked what happened to the rest of it, and my decision was they had a hard out. F5.
Specifically, Sting had a hard out at.
I mean, I think they had a hard out and they were running out of time, truthfully. And this match is the one that got hurt the most. Because it did feel the most sudden. This was one that I was really looking forward to, and I feel like its placement made little sense to me anyways. For what we got was good. Like
in hindsight, but hold on.
Yeah.
In hindsight, you and I were about to crap on the card placement of Mercedes Moné and Britt Baker, Will Ospreay MJF, Mercedes Moné and Britt Baker, and then this match, the TNT title match. If they ended at 5 and had to move stuff around, are you cutting? Obviously, in hindsight, But if you're Tony Khan in the driver's seat at the forefront, are you cutting time from Moné and Baker, or are you cutting time from Perry and Darby?
Yeah, no, like you're cutting it from the lesser stars technically. But but that's why Hook and Jericho should have been here or something. so you just cut the match completely. Yeah, but like I liked this match for 10 minutes. I liked it. It just had the sudden finish where I was like, oh, I wanted another 5 or so because it was getting going, and then it was just like, all right, we're done. And I was like, okay, sure.
It was brutal. Obviously, Darby just got his shit kicked in for about 10 minutes straight, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it made Jack Perry look great. So if that was the goal of the match, that's great. The one problem is that Darby Allin is a AEW World Title Challenger at Grand Slam, so not great for him. But I guess like the out is he got tied up and he just was in a coffin, didn't get pinned or anything, so it's not that bad. But I wanted more because I think they have a great match in them. But for what we got, it was good.
Yeah. I think Eternal in the chat put it best. The match was cool for what it was. I just wanted more. Yeah, that's exactly my same feeling, is that I was getting into it and then the match just ended. I was like, all right.
It was still one of the better matches on the show for me, which might say a lot.
Yeah, I think it does. And then obviously afterwards, to make the save, the Young Bucks come out. They're going to dump gasoline on Darby in a body bag inside a coffin. And as they're about to light it, Sting arrives and
for me.
Dyes his hair and walks out and scares everybody away. And you and I obviously love Sting. We all love Sting. And it was a really cool spot to see Sting in. But again, I'm thinking to myself, but okay, but now where do we go from this? Because like it feels like the stakes have almost have rose a little bit more with Sting coming out. But we also know that Sting has retired, right? Unless he's coming back, which is insane. And Darby's moving on to the world title picture, right? So it's just I'm just sort of sitting here being like, okay, what is the bookings, like what are we doing here? This feels like you just rose the stakes of this feud, but no,
he's not coming back.
This feud cannot continue as far as I
right. You know what I felt?
He's not in present company. It might get cooled off and come back later, but yeah.
I thought about this to myself. I was like, oh, was this Sting just being like, oh man, Tony really wanted me to retire at this show? And I said, nah, I'm good. So I'll just show up, give him a big pop. Like, that's kind of how I felt about it. And it was a great pop. One of my biggest pops of the night. So I was like, oh my God, it's Sting. But yeah, it was like, it's weird, right? Because like, what happens now? Nothing. Nothing happens now. He's retired. He's done, so it's fine. Like, it won't matter probably tomorrow. Darby should get a tag partner or something, or a duo with him. I guess FTR makes the most sense, but we already saw that this week on Collision, so I really don't know what they're going for. But yeah, this was all fine. I like Sting. Sting gave me a big pop, so I'm not going to complain about that.
Yeah, I think in hindsight, it was just sort of a booking issue of like, we have a TNT champion. We don't want to take the title off of Jack Perry, but we need to find a way to have Darby lose cleanly, kind of cleanly, because the match can only end in a coffin match. So how do we have him lose a coffin match by not making him necessarily look weak, because we have to book him for it just got way too convoluted. And they couldn't. Yeah. And I guess the solution was, let's tie him up, let's bind him, and then throw him off the stage. And I think that to a larger extent worked. I think he kept something out of it. Anyways, AEW TBS title match: Mercedes Moné defeats Dr. Britt Baker in 17 minutes and 19 seconds. This match is getting panned online. A lot of people don't like it. I will say it was an incredibly tough spot because the crowd died after the Will Ospreay MJF match. I will say that the stuff that they were doing storyline wise and psychologically speaking, the constant brutal attacks on Britt Baker's back made great sense. And I thought Britt Baker did a good job of selling that. I thought the Eddie Guerrero spot, whereas is very typical in Mercedes Moné matches, obviously, was a nice little bit here. And everything that was like, if you did a court transcript of what happened, Scotty, and read it, you'd be like, that was probably a good match. But then in practice, it never got quite going. And much like Taz on commentary bringing the worst out of Excalibur, I think Britt in the ring brought the worst out of Monet, because Monet can be great. Monet can also be sloppy. And I think at times this match got just a little too sloppy in front of a dead crowd, despite things that to me made sense storyline wise. Just no one cares about Britt Baker right now. She is quoting Paul Heyman, a dead character. Maybe I don't think she still has some cachet. Obviously, the D&D chants are still getting chanted, but at this point, with CEO chants also taking over the room space here, Scotty, I don't think DMD chants alone can maintain the star quality of Britt Baker in this company.
I think Britt Baker sucks. I think she is.
And that is why Ring Post Radio is the best show in the world.
Like, I gave her a shot, okay? You're going in there with Mercedes Moné. This is your best shot to shut everyone up, right? Especially with what Tony and Mariah did earlier in the day, especially with Jamie Hayter back. And you stunk it up. You really did. Like, she stunk it up for me. And I just think, like, when you're expecting someone to deliver, and right, you're going out there with Mercedes Moné on the biggest stage, you gotta deliver. And I just thought, like you said, she brought out the worst of the entire match. Like, there was a lot of ideas. They went for a lot of different things. It just, she can't do a lot of them. Right? Like, the best part of the match was the working of the back, right? The attacking the back, destroying the back.
And in some ways, I would say the sloppiness elevated those things because it made it look more brutal.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like, we talk about, I think there's a good sloppiness and there's a bad sloppiness in wrestling. Majority of the time, the sloppiness makes things look real. And it's why, like, Mercedes Moné matches rock.
Or like her versus Charlotte. Always like
right. Well. Because she's not always crisp, but it feels real when she's in there. This didn't feel real. This was just discombobulated, messy. And I'm just like, all right, we're done with Britt Baker. The Britt Baker experience is officially over. We're done. Finished. Goodbye. See you later. You can't deliver with Mercedes Moné. You're not delivering with anyone else.
Plus, what else is there to do in this company with her? Like, right. Honestly, and that is not. I'm trying to be as objective as possible. She was a long-running champion, multiple-time champion in this company. She challenged Mercedes Moné at the biggest show in the company's history. Well, not the biggest show in the company's history, but the second biggest. She was also on the biggest show in the company's history. I don't. I honestly, it's like I don't know what else you can do. Ignoring the fact of all these rumors and reports about what happens behind the scenes with her, right? Like, ignoring all of that stuff. It's just
right. Absolutely.
I simply don't know what more we can do with her. And I mentioned this, like, since, longtime listeners know this, since all these people came to the company, the quality of the women's roster has elevated greatly, and Britt Baker has been unable to keep up with the pace. And then since returning, obviously, to be fair, ring rust and all this sort of stuff is taking some time. But if you can't do it with Mercedes Moné, I don't know who else you're going to do it with.
Yeah. You do got to take out the part. And, like, if I'm Tony Khan, who cares if she leaves and goes to WWE? That's my mindset moving forward. Like,
I think the only downside to that legitimately is the optics of losing your first ever female signing.
I guess, but, like,
Because I mean, look how like the Lucha Brothers reaction,
but she has so much nastiness that comes out with her, right? Like, there's no nastiness with the Lucha Brothers. It's just Sarah Miedo, Sarah Miedo, Sarah Miedo.
It's not
You know, like
no fear. It's a lack of fear. And of course, Animal or whatever he's saying.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. I don't even know what
Triple
I'm
H,
saying.
they're gonna bring Phoenix in, and Triple H is gonna like, brother, you can't do the water spit. That's my thing.
I don't even remember what we were saying.
I think on that point, let's move on. Let's move on to Will Ospreay defeats MJF for the AEW American title, now officially rechristened as the AEW International title. Obviously way shorter than their hour-long not hour-long draw, but 58 second MJF win, way shorter here. Obviously the entire match being built up to the Tiger Driver. Will Ospreay finally hits the Tiger Driver to a massive pop in the crowd. Scotty, what did you think of this match? Based on this, based on the sounds of things, it doesn't seem like you quite enjoyed it.
I liked it better than the 60-minute match.
Me too. I did
a lot better. I thought it was good. I just didn't think it was great, and that is 100% my annoyance with MJF at this point. Like, I can't watch him anymore. I've decided, he does so many little things that annoy me, and I think it's like, I don't find his offense exciting. I don't find him yelling all the time exciting. I hate the way he bumps. Like, there's a few times in this match he bumped as if it was freaking Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan. I was like, why is he doing this? I was like, there's no reason for that. Now, I think Ospreay did a great job, but I didn't like the finish.
Okay.
I didn't like the ref going out and then my feelings about this Tiger Driver shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't enjoy it. Mm-hmm. It's a silly story because it never had won a match before. So it's like, okay, this is your new finisher now. But it's like, why do we have to act like it's this big deal? And I understand why. But I just, I wish it could be better. I just wish it was like Ospreay versus Pac here. I really do. And listen, I'm getting that in 2 weeks, so I'm not going to complain too much. I think Ospreay had a good showing. I do. But I almost felt like this was a wasted Ospreay Wembley match. It didn't feel as big as I wanted it to. Felt that way kind of last year. I was like, how did Ospreay face my least two favorite wrestlers in this company at Wembley back-to-back years? Jericho first, now MJF. I was like, damn. Like, I understand it's a big match.
I can't believe AEW is going to do intergender in 2026 with him versus Britt. I can't believe it.
Oh, Jesus. Now next year will be Adam Cole, or that year will be Adam Cole.
But we talked about in the preview, the sort of idea of like, the big problem with the match is that nothing kind of matters until the Tiger Driver. And to an extent that kind of held true. I like the match. I thought the match was great. I really enjoyed it. I thought, the pacing was way better. The story, not to say the pacing was not bad for the 60-minute match practically, but I just thought the match was better, and it achieved what it was trying to do more here than the 60-minute match in terms of the meat and potatoes of the wrestling.
Yeah.
And then obviously cap it off with the story, the big old pop. Obviously, I wasn't into it either, but the fact that it obviously was over and it worked. This is my Dave Meltzer. This is my Dave Meltzer quote. It was over and it works. So I got to give a bunch of stars.
I should be like, I love when Dave's like, I didn't like it, but it was greatly worked. So 5 stars.
Yeah.
I like, if I was to rate it on Cage Match, it'd probably be like a 7. So I'm like, I'm not even like saying I hated it. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying I prefer Ospreay in different spots. I really don't enjoy MJF's work these days. And in the end, the right thing happened. I like the Daniel Garcia spot, though the report is that he isn't signed.
Oh, is this a new
PW
report?
Insider said he has not re-signed a new contract. So
he is showing up at Bash in Berlin on Saturday.
Well, he's not. He's still employed. He just hasn't. It hasn't expired. I think they said October, so there's plenty of time.
Okay, so I think that's a new bit of the reporting that I hear. I don't think many people heard that reporting bit of that he is technically still signed till October. And this is coming from PW Insider. I believe my assumption based on the reporting was his contract was over and he was weighing his options. But here he is not re-signed and he has till October. So it looks like we'll probably get him versus MJF probably at All Out. And then it's a matter of what else do you do with Garcia between now and October, for another 2 months.
Yeah.
And then in the hopes of re-signing him.
Right. Well, the MJF story is great. Awesome. Can't wait. Just talked myself into having to. It's a good story. Like that story for MJF interests me more than the Ospreay one.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's actually like a blood feud to me there.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I have this difficulty when I think about everything that's going on with MJF. Like I'm happy this is over. I'm happy Ospreay can move on because I feel like Ospreay entered this like vortex for the past few months.
Heard that before.
Yeah, he entered this vortex the last few months where I feel like he got lost for me in terms of like, he's not kind of here right now for me.
Yeah.
Now that like I'm pumped that we're getting him in Pac. Like, that's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I think it's lost. It's Ospreay versus Pac in 2 weeks.
Yeah, like that's awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Blackpool Combat Club's Pac. Obviously. But
Pac,
I'm happy.
Pac, hold on. Pac-Pool Combat Club. There we go. You can continue.
Yeah, but I ultimately like a lot of I liked the match for what it was. I just don't love the match because again, there's a lot of MJF isms that I can't get past anymore.
That's right.
But it was like you said, it worked for the crowd. Ultimately, the Tiger Driver had a huge pop, which if that was the goal, they nailed it.
Yeah.
And Daniel Garcia is back, hopefully locked in. But we'll wait.
We will certainly wait. Next up is the AEW World Title #1 contendership Casino Gauntlet match. Christian Cage ends up getting the win with the help of it says here Luchasaurus, but of course it is Killswitch. I don't know why it says Luchasaurus here.
It said Luchasaurus on his video too.
So it was Killswitch earlier in the night, and then he turned quote unquote and became Luchasaurus, and then he turned back. What is this? The Big Show? All right. Oh wait. So obviously the big moments of this match is you had the debut of AEW signed superstar. God damn it, AEW signed wrestler Ricochet. He has officially come into the company. You had G1 Climax winner Zack Sabre Jr. here. You had interactions between Adam Page and Kazuchika Okada. You had the wrestling return, I guess you can say, of Nigel McGuinness coming out who's like number 3 or something. So very early on with him. And a lot of other different little bits in here that were very strong and good. Speaking of strong, I thought Roderick Strong did a really good job as well. What did you think of the Casino Gauntlet match?
Lots of fun. The fun that I was looking for. You had the Nigel McGuinness pop, which was great. You had the Zack Sabre Jr. pop. You had the great story parts with Hangman that I thought really drove this match forward. Whether it was with Double J or Okada, I found that very interesting. I like the way that Okada kind of disrespected him. Okada, the comedy wrestler. I liked everything about it. I just think like the wrestling itself was good. It's just like you kind of get lost waiting. It's like the Royal Rumble, right? You just get lost waiting for the next person. And I found myself doing that a few times. But Ricochet, I should talk about Ricochet. I didn't feel much when he showed up, which might be the shocking point because I was excited for him to come
feel
in.
much for the first ever WWE Speed Champion.
You got me there.
How
you
dare
got me
you?
there. Yeah, no, I didn't. Thanks for asking. Like, I just think with him,
I think it's
going to take some time.
Exactly.
Because, like, I still, like, when he showed up and I looked at him, I was like, I still feel like I'm just watching the WWE Ricochet. There's nothing different.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect anything to be different.
He had gloves. Hold on. He had gloves.
He did have gloves. He had baggier pants. I was really hoping he was just.
He's got those Rey Mysterio. He's got those early 2010 Rey Mysterio pants on.
Yeah, I was really hoping he was Prince Puma. Didn't get that. It's fine. But he did some cool stuff. But I think that's the other problem. The stuff he did is like, that's been your hot moment in a match that I've seen for the past 5-6 years. I want you to go all out, and like, this match wasn't the one to go all out. Maybe All Out is the one to go all out. We'll see. But Ricochet was like, oh, cool. But I was more like, the Nigel thing happened, the Zach thing happened. Really well done match. Hated the finish.
Yeah, the finish obviously being that Christian Cage comes out in the match, and then I think it was literally the next person was Luchasaurus Kill Switch, who comes out. Obviously what happened in the ladder match earlier in the night. He's now mad at Christian. Christian's fearful of Luchasaurus, and then Luchasaurus I think choke slams Kyle O'Reilly, which then allows Christian Cage to get the victory, and they walk out hand in hand, holding up a Money in the Bank briefcase.
Are you interested with a Christian Cage run with this thing? Because I like Christian Cage, but it didn't. He was like one of the last options I wanted to win.
I agree that I think he is not an interesting choice. I think obviously Hangman Page is obviously a more interesting choice, but delaying that run to the top is interesting as well for me. I don't think he's the most interesting choice. I think it definitely works for his character and something for his character on television to be doing without no longer having the trios titles. So I am okay with that aspect. I think the larger, like, I'm ultimately, I think, okay with him having it.
Sure.
We'll see how it goes. I think the bigger issue is the kill switch of it all, and how jumping the shark is not the word, but it's just
how little you care.
The food has become spoiled rotten of this Luchasaurus storyline, and I am no longer interested in the fact that we teased the turn finally after we done all this time. He's come out to Luchasaurus and he just turns again. I think I do not think, as any fan should, no one should care about this anymore. Am I upset about Christian having this Money in the Bank? No, I think it serves his character well. I think there are more interesting options, but it's fine. It's something for a TV character like him to do. So it's whatever.
Here's my best. Here's all I can say about the continuation of this story. This story between Christian and Luchasaurus started when Jungle Boy was still Jungle Boy.
Yeah,
he has been suspended. He has went heel since then and had Beethoven. He's been suspended after saying "Cry Me a River." He's gone to New Japan, joined House of Torture. He's come back. He's joined the Elite. He's won the TNT title. He's defended it. Like, there has been so much with just him since this story started. Like, who could possibly care? I don't have interest in Luchasaurus. I don't know if anyone really does. So, like, that's why I'm out on the story, and that's why it soured me on ultimately what was a really fun match. Love that Double J got one of the biggest pops of the show.
As he should.
as he should. I think if the direction isn't eventually, you've got to do Swerve and Jeff Jarrett still, right? Eventually. Did we do that?
No.
Didn't we do Danielson and Jeff Jarrett? But we didn't do. Yeah, we did Danielson and Jeff Jarrett, but they never did Hangman and Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, do you mean Swerve or Hangman? Because you said Swerve at first.
Oh, I'm a Hangman. Sorry.
I believe. Well, we did it technically with the Owen, if that's what you're talking about.
I guess, but I feel like they have to just blow that off eventually, because he hit him with the chair. Um, but I'm excited about a lot of things coming out of this match, just not the winner and the main story of the end.
Yes. Vibes were strong. Finish it could be better. It could be better. It like I said, I'm not totally upset with Christian having it. I think it works for what it's doing. It's
Sure.
just the how we got there, I think, was incredibly stupid. Incredibly stupid. Speaking of, well, kind of, yeah. AEW World Tag Team Title 3-way match. The Young Bucks retained their titles by defeating FTR and the Acclaimed after the match. As the Young Bucks were celebrating their victory, the grizzled young veterans came out and just kind of stared at the Young Bucks, and then the grizzled young veterans beat down on FTR for even more heat for this already heat-filled segment. And when I say heat-filled segment, I mean, I don't know, microwave level heat, because they definitely did heat-seeking segments, Scotty. But I don't think they necessarily got the reactions that they were hoping for. But what do you think about the match? And what do you think about a solid tag team coming into the division?
You hear that? No pop.
Brutal.
That's how I felt about the match. Now, I won't say anything bad about GYV because, listen, we've been having the rants about we need to add to the tag division for the past month. Mm-hmm. So what did they do? Well, I mean, I didn't get an all elite graphic, but I'm going to some point. Right, I'm going to assume they're going to be in. So I'm cool with you going and get GYV because I think that's going to be very helpful in one for them to, I think, getting back to the form that we know them at, right, is being more featured. And then I think also with them, like, it's just so necessary. I'm watching this match, I'm like, this could have been the Motor City Machine Guns, this could have been Lucha Bros, this could have been so right. I'm just like, I'm angry. I'm sitting here angry. Like, the match was fine. Like, the match wasn't bad. It just was like,
it is there.
It was there.
And it's frustrating because it's the Young Bucks. It's FTR. You know, it's like you have to think, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, it's just, it's
Billy Gunn getting involved, I was ready to fight. I was like, no one cares. No one cares. Get out of this ring.
I really got no thoughts about this match, mainly because I can't remember most of it.
It was fine. The right people won, even though the Young Bucks aren't around anymore. The right people won,
even though they aren't anymore, and their past couple matches have stunk. The right
actually, I would have just gave the belts back to FTR. And
especially if we're doing a GYV setup for FTR, right? Like, to me, in that, what I hated about that moment. Okay, here we go. What I hated about that moment is the Young Bucks win to retain. And what was the finish of the match? I'm trying to remember. What was the actual finish?
VP Trigger, VP Trigger, whatever the hell it's called. To
EVP Trigger.
It was to one of the FTRs.
So we got that, and you got the I guess the heat of the Young Bucks win or whatever, because they're the heels. And then you have GYV come out, and instead of going after the tag team champions and challenging them, obviously you just stare them down. So maybe you're planting seeds or something. You then attack heel FTR, which I guess is supposed to be the logic of, well, you beat us on Collision, I don't remember, 2-3 months ago, whenever that was. You beat us back then. And then they cut promos on the, when they're leaving the arena and be like, everyone's on notice. FTR, the Acclaimed are on notice. Everyone, grit your teeth, boy, or whatever. So it's just like, no one seems interested in the tag titles. Everyone seems interested in feuding with FTR at the moment. So why not just put the tag titles on FTR? That seems like logical sense to me. They're around.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Get some viewers into Collision by doing FTR title matches.
What an idea. You know what this division needs? Well,
Tag teams.
I set myself up there. Yeah, it does. It just needs a feud that matters.
Yeah.
Whether that's GYV and FTR.
Because what was the feud here? The feud ultimately was FTR versus the Acclaimed.
Me versus my eyelids.
No one is interested in the tag belts, not even the title holders. And this was a company that was partly built on the idea of we were going to treat tag teams properly.
Yeah.
And we are at a time where the tag team division is an all-time low.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think part of that is, I think in hindsight, I think part of that is the trios division. I think part of that is Ring of Honor, eating up tag teams as well. I think it's just now it's just sort of
tag champs are Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara.
Oh yeah, Wolverine and Deadpool. I know. But just like the idea of I think this as a tag team division, they're just spread too thin, and they don't have enough stuff happening in the main title scene. And how they're treating the belts themselves, I think, are doing the entire division a disservice. And it is frustrating to watch in this company where your EVPs are arguably a Hall of Fame level tag team. FTW title match. Hook versus Chris Jericho. I'm seeing a chat real quick from Vink and Bjorn. ROH isn't the issue when Dustin, Sammy, a random thrown tag team together has the belts. I will say this about this. A new tag team. I understand that they're just thrown together, and obviously they're thrown together because of the Texas Arlington stay. But Scotty, we're needing new tag teams. Just throw some guys together. Well, they threw some guys together, so I'm going to be happy with what I get, even if it's not necessarily what I want. So at least it's something. But I think it also shows that, at least when it comes to Ring of Honor, they don't have enough tag teams because the Ring of Honor tag team division is largely just, disputed OGK for a little bit. So it's we kind of just have to put people together. I'm glad we put people together, but it's also we put people together and they immediately are champions. And I think that's also casing how thin as a whole this company is in the tag team scene, especially with the Lucha Brothers coming out. FTW title match. Hook defeats Chris Jericho to win back his title with, in part, the help of his father, Taz. As Hook was hitting the red rum on Jericho, Taz got Brian Keith out of there with the Taz mission. And, of course, Big Bill was, quote-unquote, selling a barbed wire table back bump on the outside. Scotty, I know you have a lot of thoughts about this match. What do you think about it?
This stunk. I'm watching this match, right? And I'm just saying to myself, why? Why is this on the main card? Why do I have to watch cricket balls be thrown at Chris Jericho on the main card of the biggest show of the year? Why? What is accomplished with the 3-on-1 assault ended with Taz putting Brian Keith in a sleeper hold? What did Hook get out of this win?
Another hamster wheel title run?
Yeah, great. I wanted that title to disappear as soon as he won it. I wanted that title to disappear a long time ago, but I digress. Shout out to Taz. Huh? Use your own line against you, buddy. It's gonna start wearing orange too, bud. No, I'm just I watched this and I feel like I'm running in a hamster wheel when these Chris Jericho pay-per-view matches happen. They're not good. I don't know what the creativity is supposed to be here. The only part of this that I was interested in was Big Bill. Because one, he had the jeans back, thank God. Green boots, jeans. I was like, this is my guy. And I was like, that guy.
That's W. Morrissey, baby.
Yeah, I was like, that guy should be getting a push, not any of this other stuff. And he's, he took a great bump.
Well, I disagree that he took a great bump. He didn't sell the bump at all. He just kind of
I didn't sell it, but
barbed wire.
It popped me. It popped me big time. Him just falling like a. It was like literally like I literally said timber.
Falling like a redwood.
There you go. Yeah, see, my problem is that none of this matters.
No,
none of this is engaging. None of this is exciting. I don't care what's next for any of these people.
I think the problem, the big problem with it is that it's the mixture of the Jericho Vortex mixed with the Hook Hamster Wheel, and I will start calling it the Hook Hamster Wheel, and it's also in relation to the Curse of Taz, where by being Taz's son, he was able to get pushed forward and have that presence and have all this sort of stuff. But by having the FTW title round, he is going to forever be part of this. He's always feuding over the FTW title, and he's just always going to be back on this hamster wheel until they either get rid of the title or they, he decides to start going after other belts. He could feud with Jack Perry. That's kind of established lore in the history of this company. Yeah, that could be a fun idea. But this thing of he's always just going to be the FTW champion, and what more can you do with this gimmick? And then you mix it with sports entertainer, idiot Chris Jericho, and who already has a lot of people like balking at what he's doing. So who just feels like, a ghost of this. I feel like he's lurking behind me. It's frustrating to see, what's happening in this. It's very frustrating. And I just don't, I don't know, man. I don't know where you go with Hook at all. Like, I think he's just like stuck here, like legitimately. Do you see what is Hook stealing in this company? Legitimately.
TNT champion?
Probably, maybe. When is that going to happen? I don't think.
Has he made strides since last year? I don't think he's done anything this past year.
Kinda. The Samoa Joe was probably the most significant thing. The Samoa Joe match.
I mean, him just as a wrestler.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Like, besides the Samoa Joe match, nothing stands out about his past year. He's pure hamster wheel.
Aggressive, lower register voice promo.
That's true. You're right. You got me there. Yeah, I think my problem with all of this is like, again, what am I supposed to care about moving forward?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel that way with the FTW title. I feel that way with Hook. I feel that way with Jericho. Those are the three main parts of this whole situation.
I feel that way with the tag titles.
Also true. That's back-to-back matches of that, which is probably a problem. It's why the show is weird. Because for the highs that it had these lows that were like, you're kind of asking what's the point of putting this on here besides you feel like you have to.
Oh, yeah, Jericho, that's
yeah, you feel like you have to put Jericho and you feel like you have to put the tag belts.
Yeah. AEW Women's World Title match. Mariah May defeats Toni Storm, as we all sort of expected. 15 minutes and 14 seconds. What did you think of this match? You talked about how great it was earlier.
I thought they told a great story. I think they, you and me have talked about during this week of like how the story obviously lost a lot of steam these past couple of weeks just because they peaked so high so early. How could you follow through on that? And ultimately it just came down to the match. And I think the match and the story was told really well. Mariah getting overconfident at one point, kind of disrespecting everyone, including her own mother. That popped me big time. I'm not going to lie to you. And Toni Storm wrestled like Toni Storm. That was the most important part of this entire match. It's like, this match is going to be good as long as Toni wrestles. And I think they lived up to that moment long ago when they turned on one another, right? There was the blood that I was looking for. There was the anger. There was the ruthlessness, doing a power bomb on steel steps, and I love it. The best part of this match is Mariah continuing the Toni Storm copycat. She won with Storm Zero.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part of the match because I was like, we haven't gone away from that idea, right? Like she's still kind of in that mindset. Meanwhile, being her own now and moving forward. In terms of like moving forward, what title? Like I'm excited for Mariah May title matches.
Yep.
And I think I'm excited for Mercedes Moné title matches. And I don't know if anyone knows this because if you didn't watch the pre-show, you might not. Jamie Hayter's back. Those three leading this division is as good as it gets.
Yep.
Now, I don't know how good Jamie's going to be. She was out for almost 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I believe in Jamie Hayter. I watched the lariat she hit. I was like, all right, we're good. It's like she'll be fine. So I'm excited about that. I think Toni did a great job. The crowd was into it too, which was really important. The crowd really lifted it up, and I thought Mariah did a great job. I thought Toni did a great job. And this ended up being a really, really good match. Also, by the way,
pizza.
I've scrolled through the
presser.
Yeah, nothing good. At all. Like kind of upsetting actually.
Mm-hmm.
But Ospreay did stand up at one point Ospreay didn't stand up. Meltzer stood up. And Ospreay screamed, "Meltzer's here, yeah," in full excitement. So
I was looking through and seeing if there was any quotes as well.
Danielson's very quiet about the what's next.
Yeah, which I think that's good because it's part of the story. I think they're trying to get people tuned in, and obviously the Dynamite. So, but in there as well, he mentioned something about how he would like to do Saber in the Dome, which is something literally we talked about last week. About how, hey, maybe that's Wrestle Dynasty, or not Wrestle Dynasty, but was it Wrestle something?
Dream.
No, not Wrestle Dream. The one in Japan.
Wrestle Dynasty.
Wrestle Dynasty. We literally talked about that last week, and he's like, "Yeah, I would love to do that. I would love to wrestle Zack Sabre Jr. in the Dome." I was like, "Oh, great!" The other thing I saw was Will pitch the idea of doing a whole UK tour for Forbidden Door next year, which I think is a good idea, especially if they're going to do like a smaller arena, like Craven Cottage, for example,
like they did with Canada.
Yes,
that one time, except that stunk.
Exactly, and obviously going to Wales proved that there is, I think, a good solid market here if you do a little bit of a tour like that, where you're going to spread out that money and the attendance rather just everyone culminating in one place, so you can have a smaller arena like a Craven Cottage for a big pay-per-view like that. So I think that's a good idea. AEW World Trios title London ladder match. Of course, all these ladders were made in London, I guess.
We're wicked short, by the way.
Right? I thought I was losing my mind. I was like, why are these ladders so short? Blackpool Combat Club, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and of course their good old friend Pac win the titles by defeating the Patriarchy, the House of Black, and the Bang Bang Gang. What do you think of this match?
It was fine, good, exciting. Sometimes Juice was funny. Pac did his big spots. Claudio was really good. I like the winners. I'm more interested in those three, even though they're a random tossed together trio, than I am any of the other trios. So what does that say about the trios in this company? You figure that out yourself. Yeah, I mean, the ladder match was a good start because like shoehorning that in the middle of this show would have been poor.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt about it. At the same time, I'm sick of ladder matches.
Yep.
So it lacked excitement at times. I think that's my one take.
It felt, I think look, if you're opening a show with a ladder match, it has to be, especially a multi-man where you got 12 guys out here. not counting Mother Wayne. So if you have 12 people out here and you're going to open up a pay-per-view like this, it needs to be a car wreck that needs to be fast-paced, high-octane action. And I feel like we didn't get it. It felt like, because we missed out on that sort of excitement, it just ended up feeling like a bunch of spots.
Yeah.
And, a bunch of spots in an opening multi-man ladder match is a good thing, obviously. But when the spots are excitement and they sort of lead into the next thing, there was a lot of stuff that comes just like, all right, now let's set up the next, like the tables being set up, by the guns, just like kind of the match stops so that they can set up the tables so that we can do the next spot.
Yes.
All of that was kind of like, we're just doing spots for spot's sake. And beyond that, I also, my grievances with tables and chairs in ladder matches. At that point, just do a fucking TLC match. What are we doing here?
Well, it's London ladders. I don't know the rules of that.
London ladders where tables are allowed. Yeah, I hate that shit. I find that so aggravating. It's such a pet peeve of mine. Because at the end of the day, you're not that creative to do ladders. Just do TLC. Anyways, yeah. So I think at the end of the day, like you want that monster truck rally, and I don't think we got it. I think we missed out on the excitement of a monster truck rally.
Yeah, I agree. It was fine opener. But you could feel 12 people being involved.
Yeah, you can see thinking. You never want to see that in a wrestling match.
No, you don't. But you know what? It's fine, I guess. That's kind of my takeaway about a lot of these matches, which is not ideal for the biggest show of the year. They're saved by their world title match in the main event delivering. I think they were saved by Tony and Mariah delivering, and I think they were saved for MJ and Ospreay with MJ Ospreay's big moment, and plus the Casino Gauntlet having the surprises it did. Otherwise, this would be a bad show. I
don't think it was the worst. I think Double or Nothing.
Definitely not the worst.
Double or Nothing was probably still the worst this year.
For sure. No, I agree. Listen, anything with a main event like this, it's hard to be the worst.
Yeah.
Like even if everything was bad on this show besides the main event, it would have been fine. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about that. But here's my take now that I can say it. We've gotten here. I'm done with it's an AEW pay-per-view. Everything will be fine. That does not exist anymore. There's too many pay-per-views now for that to be possible.
Mm-hmm.
And you felt it on this show. That being said, All Out after last year, I'm expecting to be 10 times better than the show. That's just how it goes. If the rumors are true, we have Pac versus Ospreay. Well, that's not a rumor. That's fact. And we have Willow versus Statlander, and we have Hangman versus Swerve. That's the rumor. If that's all happening, I feel pretty confident about that show being better.
I agree. Yeah, it remains to be seen what's going to be. To clarify your take.
Yes.
Are you saying that all future AEW pay-per-views are not guaranteed locks, or that every match on the pay-per-view is a guaranteed really good to great match?
I think it's the first one.
Okay.
They're not all locks to be great shows anymore. Like that was always the idea for people like going in. It's like, oh, the build wasn't great, but the matches will be great, and the show, everyone will walk away saying, oh, what a great show. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's possible anymore.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is fine. I mean, going several years of that kind of run.
Yeah, it was a hell of a run.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a hot take. I just think it's like a take we got to live with.
I don't know if I fully agree with that.
I've had too many in a row where I'm just like,
I definitely agree with the idea of like, we're definitely at the point where not every match, and we've been in it for a while, where not every match is great. Like we are getting to, if we're past the point of like 2 bad matches,
Yeah.
I can take 1 bad match. I can take 2, but we get 3, 4, 5 that I'm like, this is fine. I got no thoughts really. Then on a pay-per-view, then I think that's bad. I don't think that's good. But again, it's one of those things I think of like in comparison to like all other wrestling. Like I'm putting together my pay-per-view ratings of the year. Where did this show rank for me? Let's see. Of my shows of the year so far. Let me take this podcast to a screeching halt real quick.
I don't want to be that guy, but we don't have time for that.
This is my 11th favorite show of the year. If you want to look at in between AEW, it's AEW Dynasty was at 4, and on the other end is AEW Revolution at 16.
Yeah, Revolution rules.
Yeah, outside of that, G1 Climax Night 1 was that number 10 spot, and number 12 is the CMLL.
Hold on. Did you say Revolution's in 16th place?
Yeah, it's really low for some reason. Let me look this up. Why is it so low for me? Why is it so low?
I think that. Hold on. Are you?
He says, what the hell was Revolution? Early March?
Revolution, the one with Sting's retirement?
Yeah, I'm not saying that match was bad. I'm saying
Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson. Okay, stupid scramble match. Roddy versus Orange Cassidy. Blackpool Combat Club versus FTR. Ospreay versus Takeshita.
Oh, you know what it is? I think
Joe versus Hangman Swerve, and then what is it?
It is the formula that I'm using is pulling the wrong data.
Oh, okay. All right, we're safe. Well,
I'm gonna retract everything I just said in that moment because my formulas are off. So I gotta.
You left me in a major pause. I was like, I'm pretty sure Revolution was like one of the best shows they've ever done.
Yeah, I looked at it hard and I saw a 5-star, 4-star, 4 3/4. And I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely wrong. Something wrong here. Yes,
because you said Dynasty was 4. I was like, okay, that's fair. But I was like, hold on.
Yeah, it might mean that Dynasty's also wrong, so I'll look into that. But yeah, that's on me. I got to fix that. Let's move on. WWE Bash in Berlin is taking place this Saturday in Berlin. I don't know how.
What was the giveaway on that?
What was the giveaway on what?
That it's in Berlin.
What do you mean? Oh, the Bash part.
Tony said that Jimmy Jacobs gets way too much shit online.
I disagree. I think it should get more. I humbly disagree. I'll look up what they're doing ticket-wise so far, but the card, I'll just run through. We won't do match by match, but I'll just run through.
You also think Collision's a lot easier to book this year.
I wonder why.
Last year.
Shocking. Shocking, my guy.
I got the most important quotes. That's all I needed.
WWE Bash in Berlin, I'll look at the attendance, but right now we're looking at a card that features the WWE Women's Tag Team title match, the unholy union of Alba Fire and Isla Dawn versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. The Terror Twins, Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest versus Judgment Day, Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. A strap match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. I don't know how bracelet will be involved in that one, but that's fine. Gunther versus Randy Orton for the WWE World Heavyweight title match, and then Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens for the WWE title, Universal title, whatever it's called. What do you think about this card that is happening this Saturday in Berlin, Germany? It's not bad.
It depends on the strap match.
I fully agree. I think the strap match is live or die on this card.
Because I think the 2 world title matches are good. Mm-hmm. I think the mixed tag will be fine, if not, entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, that CM Punk Drew McIntyre match should be an absolute hit, and I don't know if it will be. Because strap matches can be hit or miss.
Yep. What kind of strap match is this? Is this they have to touch all 4 corners?
If they have to touch all 4 corners, I'm gonna lose my mind.
I think it might be. I don't know for certain. I don't know.
I know that's how they do them, but I don't see anything about the 4 corners in their description. So maybe if they're just beating each other with the strap. Oh my God! Hold on. Wasn't Punk versus Ricky Starks supposed to be a strap match a year ago?
Yes. You're right. You're accurate.
It took him 1 year, but he got his strap match. 1 year, almost to the day. By the way,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, the show lives or dies by that match. I think the world title matches will be good. I think Cody and Kevin can be great.
I think Gun for Randy Orton. I'm dubious just because the first match wasn't that good. It was like
it
totally
was
fine.
slower, and then it had the flop finish.
Mm-hmm.
I think it can be good because
the
it's
vibes of
Gunther.
Gunther there could really help.
Yeah, and I think Randy's going to turn it on for the world title match. And they sing his song, so he kind of, he's feeling himself when he does that. He's like, "All right, I'm in this." Yeah. So I think the top three alone should be good.
Mm-hmm. You don't think the Terror Twins versus Judgment Day is all that exciting for you?
I said that will be entertaining. Dominic Mysterio, best wrestler in WWE.
Yeah,
that man went on Logan Paul's podcast and asked if he was shadow banned from Japan. That was the greatest clip I've ever seen in my life.
Wasn't there a clip where he also said, "If we go, can you wear the hat?"
Dom rules. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care about his wrestling as long as he keeps talking shit to Logan Paul like that on his own podcast. What a funny guy. Yeah, no, that's fine. That match is going to be about the heels trying to cheat and then they'll lose.
That crowd will eat that match up, I suspect.
Yeah. The Unholy Alliance versus Bianca and Jade.
Fine, man. You can't catch me watching that one.
I mean, you can because I have to.
What was the Jade one? Because it was when they won the title in Scotland, I think, right? And the Unholy Union won it. That match was rough for Jade, and I'm fascinated to see what another Jade match is going to look like on a big show like this. And do you expect them to win? I don't know.
I think they win this time.
Winners. What's that?
I'm sure. I think they win this time. I think Gunther wins. I think Cody wins.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Terror Twins win, and I'm gonna guess CM Punk wins.
Everybody goes home happy. I think all the favorites go home happy. Yeah. I don't know. I think was it Bad Blood's the next one, and I think some people are suspecting that it's a Hell in a Cell match between McIntyre and CM Punk.
Yeah, so Punk's got to get the win to make it 1-1.
That's probably accurate. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out.
Bad Blood in Atlanta.
Yeah, baby. WrestleTix has the data as of August 23rd, so 2 days ago. Bash in Berlin in the Uber Arena. I just said Uber like a German, but it's actually just literally
it's just Uber.
It's just Uber.
Say it's literally Uber, the brand. Yeah.
Is Uber a German brand? Hold on.
No, we don't have the rabbit hole.
So as of 2 days ago, they are set up for 13,000, and they distributed 12,696. For reference,
by the way,
the capacity for an MMA MMA event 17,000. If you want to do a comparison with that, and they're at literally 12,600 as of 2 days ago. So we're probably not going to get to that 17,000 marker, but they'll probably get 13, 14, probably a little bit more.
Maybe if they put more than 5 matches on a pay-per-view card, they would.
We'll see. I doubt it. I truly doubt it. You don't want to fill up those buckets.
It's fine. They sell 1 million tickets anyways. What does it matter?
That is pretty fair. Other stuff that we were going to talk about, the N1 finals have been set. I'm going to, obviously, I didn't get a chance to talk about it this morning, and put an episode on patreon.com/counterpod on the $5 tier, because obviously I was flying in from a wedding, which was lovely, I should say. A lovely garden party in New Jersey. The owner, I didn't realize this, but the bride's family owns a peach farm, and the favors for their wedding was a basket of peaches. Fresh peaches. I was like, it was pretty nice. It was really lovely.
Did you try a peach?
No, but Jessie did, and she said they were really good.
I need you to do it live on camera before the show's over.
I hate to say it, but don't tell anybody, Scotty. I don't like peaches.
It doesn't matter. It's for the show.
Fuck. Fuck. You got
For
me
the
there.
love of the show.
Don't tell anyone in Georgia I said that.
Text. I know that's dangerous. Text Jesse now. Say I need a peach.
All right, I'll text her.
Important stuff. What are we talking about?
Should I do a winky face to that or no?
No, do not. You need an actual peach. Oh God.
But anyways, the N1 finals, I'll get more into it and talk about the final night, or at least the semi-final night of block action. Final night of block action for the N1 during tomorrow. That episode will be out tomorrow. The N1 finals are set. I know the results. Do I remember the results? What's that?
I know the results.
What are the results, Scotty? Hit us with those results, and we'll get a quick thought from you.
All right, here are your results from the final night of block action from the N1 victory, starring Ryan Knightsey. Alpha Wolf defeated Titus Alexander to get to 5 points. Does that move you at all?
Who won the blocks is what I want to set up. I don't need that.
Okay. Well, Keno defeated Yoshiki Inamura to win block B.
Yep.
Wait, did you say you didn't know the finals?
No, I did. I was letting you say them because I was trying to text my wife to eat a peach.
Gotcha. And then Kaito Kiyomiya defeated Jack Morris in 23 minutes and 48 seconds to make it to the finals of the N1 victory as the GHC heavyweight champion. And after never wanting to face again, it will be Keno versus Kaito Kiyomiya in the N1 victory final.
Baffling. Honestly, baffling. But I'll talk about that a lot more when we get to the N1.
Time
N1
to kill all rebellion, baby.
Yeah. So do you have quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, it should be great.
It should be a great match.
If I'm gonna be selfish here for a second. I haven't watched nearly any of the N1. Mm-hmm. I've been busy watching a million other matches and another tournament far, far away. Not that far away. They're both in Japan.
But I know you've been listening to the Patreon, listening to
of course, patreon.com
/count-out-pod
/count-out-pod. I knew everything else except for the forward part. Yes, of course I've been listening to it, and you have talked me into watching so many matches. Everyone, you should really listen to it, or do what I do. And if you're not interested in most of the matches, you could just listen to Ryan talk about them. That's the better idea. But in all seriousness, yeah, keep you informed. Struggling through. I mean, I don't know if you're struggling through.
I'm almost. My last episode's tomorrow. I'm out. My hands are clean after tomorrow.
Your last episode's not tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the finals. We're going to talk about it on the show on Ring Post Radio.
Oh, okay. Well, that's funny then.
Yeah.
I thought you would do the final. Well, that's funny.
My hands are clean as of tomorrow. You, my friend, are stuck in Stardom land for at least another week, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm stuck in Stardom land for another decade. It just never ends, bud. Never ends. But yeah, I'm excited.
We're rounding the corner on Stardom, the 5-star.
Yeah, I'm excited for the N1 final though, because Kaito versus Keno is the best combo in that company.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, well, maybe other than Oiwa and Kaito, but
to be fair,
yeah,
one of them technically doesn't sign. Oh, we're getting Kyle Fletcher versus Ricochet.
That's fine. I would have preferred like a Ricochet versus like a Dante Martin type.
Well, screw you. That's what Don Callis just said, not me. Don Callis.
Oh, interesting. He said,
screw Ryan Knightsey. He better eat that peach.
I don't think Jesse's texting me back. No, she hasn't.
And then he also said, "Remember Takeshita?" Ha! Me either.
Speaking of Joshi, Marigold. Their tournament. I'm trying to see if I can pull it.
Wait, do you not want the 5-star update?
Oh yeah, yo. I didn't realize. I was sorry. I got distracted by peach talk. Go continue.
All right, so the 5-star. If you want to hear my reviews, youtube.com/@ScottEWrestling. I've reviewed every single day, including today's. I got look at me. Look at me. Look at the camera. I got today's in. I made sure to get today's in. Day 10, 12 freaking matches of tournament. The final day of block action, baby. We're almost there. We're almost to the finish line. And we still only have 6 of the 8 finalists.
Well, hold on. 6 of the 8 of the finalists of the blocks?
Of the quarterfinal, yes. Because they have decided we don't need 1 playoff. We need 2.
That's fine.
So,
fine.
So I watched the final day yesterday. Solid show.
Mm-hmm.
Watched 12 matches. It was Anna Jay did not wrestle for the AEW fans that are still in attendance. I'm sorry. She finished her tournament Saturday. She had a good tournament. I think she should stay for another 2 months. And I think she could come back really, really solid, actually. So the final day, which happened today, broke down like this. Okay. So Mayu Iwatani is the number 1 seed in Red Stars B. She clinched that by beating Tomoki Inaba. Maika went undefeated. She went 6-0 and is the top seed in Red Stars A. Natsupoi and Hazuki went to a draw, which meant Hazuki advanced. Natsupoi advanced as the 2nd seed in Red Stars A. It'll be Mayu Iwatani versus Natsupoi on Wednesday at Shinjuku Face for one of the spots. Very exciting match. Definitely one that moves me greatly. However, the rest of Red Stars B, that's where everyone interested. If anyone wants to know, Tam Nakano, 0-6. She has a World of Stardom title.
Hold on.
0-6.
I'm behind a little bit. Well, I'm sorry. 0-6.
0-6.
0-3 was like, okay, bold.
0-6. She is in a World of Stardom title match next Saturday against Natsuko Tora.
She's in a losing streak. She has a title match.
She and in her last match against May Sarah, she got put out night in a sleeper.
Oh, Jesus.
So that's Tam. But
that's the number 1 contender.
Yeah, I know. So Azumi had a shot at just advancing by winning. She lost to Saida. Shout out to Saida. Strong tournament. Tomoki Inaba had a shot of advancing. She lost to Mayu Iwatani. And May Sarah got back into the conversation by beating Tam. And Ryan, all 3 of these wrestlers drew against each other. So that means we are having a playoff. And the playoff doesn't take place till Wednesday. And the winner of that match will go on to, presumably the main event, to face Maika, the undefeated 6-0 Maika, in the quarterfinal match. And the way they're doing it, it is not going to be a triple threat match.
Mm-hmm.
It is a Tomoe battle.
Which yes.
is the 2 people start, and whoever wins 2 matches in a row wins the match and advances.
Correct.
So with that thinking, it could go all night.
Mm-hmm.
Could just never end.
It could end in 3 matches, or it could go forever.
Yeah, so it's technically 1 match, but it's very specific. It should be good. Azumi may.
It's like a gauntlet match in a way.
Yeah, Tomoka, Azumi, and May Sarah. The one good thing I'll say about this tournament, they've built up the younger talent. These 3 all benefit from getting close, obviously over the likes of a Momo Watanabe and a Tam in their block. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. The winner will advance to the quarterfinals there. On the other side, Shuri advanced as the number 1 seed in the Blue Stars A block. Starlight Kid advanced as the number 2 seed. She will face Saya Kamatani on the quarterfinal. And then Shuri awaits the winner of Suzu Suzuki versus Hanan, because they drew and then they tied in points as well when Hanan beat Saya Kamatani in the main event last night. So 2 playoffs plus quarterfinals. Then we're gonna have the semifinals on Saturday, along with the finals as well.
Sounds busy. But if you want to check that out, follow Scotty on YouTube. I mean, obviously follow on Twitter because he's going to be all on top of it, and I'll get you all the links you need. But watch the shows, watch the not live, but recaps, I guess, the reviews on his YouTube channel.
YouTube.com/@ScottEWrestling.
Marigold has their sort of round robin tournament starting this Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. The Dream Star Grand Prix. They announced the blocks, the Dream and Star blocks. I can't wait for a year where it's going to be a Dream A block and a Dream B block and a Star A block and a Star B.
Yeah, I don't think we got to worry about that.
Me neither. Dream block, you have Utami Hayashishita, Mirai, Natsumi Shizuki, Koki Amare, Chika Goto, Nagisa Nozaki, Victoria Yuzuki, and Nori. That is your dream block. Yes. I think Yuzuki I'm interested about, especially since the Julia Gauntlet match.
One person won.
I think, I think that's telling me something. Mirai, Utami Hayashishita, obviously I'm interested in those sort of things. Especially Utami. I don't know. Do you have any quick thoughts on the dream block?
Yeah, I think what I like about these blocks is that they evenly spread them, I think, in terms of experience and what they're trying to go for here. And what they're trying to go for ultimately is having the top strong. You want the top strong. So you have Utami, you have Mirai, and then you're going to try to build up Gochika. You're going to try to build up Koki, Victoria Yuzuki. And I think that the long term, it's going to go very well. I think these tournaments are made exceptionally well. I'm very excited for this block. Nori's going to make a lot of fans, I think. Natsumi Shizuki's a good veteran for that as well because she works with the actress girls specifically. So it should go a long way. I think the star one jumps out a little bit more for people if you're just browsing and but it should be a good block led by Utami and Mirai.
And that star block you mentioned was headlined by Suri, Miku. Yeah, thank you.
I don't know.
Thank you. I caught myself. Nanai Takahashi, Bozilla, Mai Sakurai, Misa Matsui, I should say, Chiaki, and Kazuna Tanaka.
Yeah, this block should be really good.
Yeah, obviously Sarai, Bozilla, obviously, I think are all like the immediate two people that knock out to me. Miku as well in there. Not Nai, I think, in terms of like a veteran sort of role. I think that could actually serve a good purpose here. But yeah, this is a more interesting block for sure for me.
Yeah, it should be great. Sarai's two big matches at Korakuen are versus Miku Ano, who of course is the United National Champion, and then Nanai on the second Korakuen of the show. Her final night's against Bozilla. So that definitely that's the one good thing about being back to, just two blocks. You can figure out what the finals might look like. And then I think like the likes of Matsui can shine. Mai Sakurai had such a good week this past week that I'm actually excited for what she can do. And yeah, it should be a really good block, a really fun tournament, a really easy tournament to watch. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited for the tournament. I'm excited to see. I think it's going to be mostly a tournament of development. And so I think that's going to be the more interesting part for me in terms of this first year for that tournament. Do we know yet if what the winner gets when?
The winner gets a title shot. They haven't said where, but world title shot, presumably.
Definitely world.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't know where. My guess would be their big pay-per-view in January, First Dream, which is January 3rd.
Okay.
So, which is, this ends at the end of September. So that'd be about the same amount of time as like when the 5-star to the Queendom originally.
Yeah.
Or the past couple of years. So, and, the G1 too. It would be more similar to the G1, I guess, before Zach ruined that. But
What's also very nice is that it's also short.
yes, it's just the weekends, except for the Corkins, I think are weekdays, but it's just 2 shows at most a week, and it's just the month, so should be good. They have 2 shows day 1, and then after
The
that,
same day.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
yeah. Utami's wrestling twice, Mariah's wrestling twice. Yeah, a few people wrestling twice. Sari is off the first weekend, and then she's locked in for the rest of the way. So,
all right.
Those who care. But yeah, should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. I think every single one besides 2 are going to be live on Wrestling Universe, so that'll be nice. And they get up usually within a day or 2, anyways, if they're not live. So
yeah. Do we know if there's going to English commentary on all of that are airing?
Definitely the core. I'm gonna assume
opener, Corkins, closers.
I'm gonna definitely the Corkins, definitely the final. I'd assume probably the opening, but they haven't done any English comms outside of Corkin yet. But I'm confident they'll have it at least for the final and the 2 Corkins at the very least.
To be fair, we might have to cross-reference with Noah's schedule, but they are going to go on the UK tour.
I would say yes, but Stu Fulton missed the big Noah show for the Marigold big show with EO on it, so I have no idea.
To be fair, I think that was a bigger deal just because of the EO thing, but the Noah show also had AJ Styles, so. But I also think it's like Marigold's still starting out, and that they need. They can get a replacement for the Noah show, which they obviously already had, and there's probably less people that know about Marigold than people know about Noah. So I think it's just easier to find a replacement there.
It also got revealed today. I'll just toss this in there that Marigold's going to the US next year.
Really?
For WrestleMania week. So add that in there as well.
Okay. Hey, that's fine by me.
I guess Julia would probably take part on the show. After saying farewell today. That was today. Wow, this has been a long day.
Do you think WWE has like some sort of investment in the indies that come in? Not like maybe not. I'm not saying like a financial investment, but like some sort of investment on the indie shows that are there for WrestleMania weekend.
I don't know.
I'm just thinking about. I'm not. This is my conspiracy brain thinking, but like the fact that like Marigold is running a show in the U.S. WrestleMania weekend, and all those GCW shows that a bunch of WWE people have been on now, and obviously like Nick Khan, all these people were at GCW weekend, WrestleMania weekend.
They definitely have more interest now. I'll tell you that.
And also like GCW shows and all the collective stuff aren't doing anything in conjunction with AEW. I guess July remains to be seen, but this is all conspiracy brain. New Japan has a show this Friday, and this will be our last quick topic before we go here, folks. So I hope you appreciate the show. Of course, subscribe to the show. If you're not, make sure you can get next week's show. Next week's will also be a Ring Post Radio Nights. So we'll get some funky jazz music to start off that show for sure. But make sure you subscribe either by the YouTube channel or via the podcast app, wherever you get podcasts. You can make sure to listen and follow along with the show as we give our thoughts on the wrestling world. New Japan Capital Collision has a show, is the show on Friday, coming out of Washington, D.C. in the Entertainment and Sports Arena, which if I had to come up with the most basic name for an arena, it would be that. The show has listed top of the card New Japan Strong women's title match, Mercedes Moné versus Momo Watanabe. New Japan Strong. Actually, I don't know for certain this is in order. It is in the main.
Okay, yeah. I'll put $1 million right now that match is better than the Britt Baker one.
I'm not going to take that bet because I would lose. So I'm not going to take it at all.
Damn it. Dang it.
The main event is New Japan Strong women's title match, Mercedes Moné versus Momo Watanabe. Then you have going down the card, up the card. I always forget. I think down the card. 8th match, New Japan Strong openweight title match, Gabe Kidd versus Leo Rush. I think that should be solid. I think that should be solid.
Interesting combo.
Seventh match, Hiromu Takahashi versus Mustafa Ali. This is a rematch from Windy City Riot, where I believe Mustafa Ali won that match. So you have to expect Hiromu to get the win back.
I have nothing to say about that.
Perfect. Sixth match, New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team title match. Team DK, Shane Hayes and Mikey Nichols are defending their titles against Virus and Hechicero.
Cool.
Scotty is jazzed about this show.
I didn't know this show was happening. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I assumed. Well, we went with this show. You want to go talk about TNA Emergence? Because we can talk about.
No. Continue.
Fifth match: Tetsuya Naito versus TJP. So sort of a warm up for eventually King of Pro Wrestling on the road to King of Pro Wrestling. But Tetsuya Naito, the leader of LIJ versus the leader of United Empire.
Why can't they just give this guy a day off?
Are you talking about the TJP or Naito?
Naito.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even like, I don't know. I don't think it's I don't know. It has potential to be good, but I don't think it's going to. I don't know. I think I'm looking at a 3-star match here. Maybe a 3.25, depending on how.
3-star max.
3-star Jones. What I don't think will be a 3-star match at all. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Teton.
Yeah, that should rule.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about this one. Obviously, again, a warm up for sure. As Zack Sabre Jr. warms up against an LIJ member, Tetsuya Naito warms up against United Empire member as he faces Great Khan coming up. And then Zack Sabre Jr. obviously G1 Climax winner after that, assuming he can win. Third match, a grudge match. Dirty Work, Fred Rosser and Tom Lawler versus the West Coast Wrecking Crew, Royce Isaacs and Jorel Nelson. We're picking up where we left off at Windy City Riot. I believe that's what that show was. And so it is former rivals, now, I guess, friends. Fred Rosser and Tom Lawler facing off against former team mates in Tom Lawler, the West Coast Wrecking Crew. Second match, you have a 6-man match. Kevin Knight, Rocky Romero, and Yoshihashi versus the Bullet Club War Dogs, David Finlay, Drilla Maloney, and Clark Connors.
Woohoo. Yoshihashi, next global champion, baby.
There we go. I honestly, that is also what I read from that, is that, okay, it's Yoshihashi versus David Finlay at some point.
Oh, they already announced that.
Oh, yeah, this is a preview tag for that.
Woo! Can't wait. Yoshihashi, here we go, baby.
Would you be interested in this also being a preview tag for the junior tag titles with Rocky Romero and Kevin Knight as a team?
I would be interested in that, yes.
And then the opening of the show, New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team #1 Contenders match, TMDK of Robbie Eagles and Bad Dude Tito, Tomohiro Ishii, and this says incorrectly, it's Tomohiro Ishii and Hiroshi Tanahashi. The New Japan website says Tomohiro Ishii and Shane Haste. And then the Grizzled Young Veterans, James Drake and Zach Gibson.
That should be pretty good.
Yeah, I think that should be pretty good. GYV, I think, would be solid here.
Poor guy Tanahashi, man.
He's gonna die.
They just roll him out there. It's like, all right, we need you to do something at a US show, buddy. Mm-hmm. He's probably like, man, I'm president. Leave me alone.
I think much like you, Scotty, maybe more so than you. Obviously, I'm circling the interactions between Bad Dude Tito and Tomohiro Ishii.
Shout out to the Bad Dude.
Shout out to the Bad Dude, indeed. I cannot wait for that. We're going to also have 2 kickoff matches. Strong Survival match. I don't know what that means. Matt Vandegrift versus Alan Breeze. And then we also have a women's tag team match. Mina Shirakawa and Hanako versus Viva Vaughn and Trish Adora.
So happy Mina took the month off to sit in the stands.
Hey, she wrestled on Rampage?
Hey, she's the Rev Pro undisputed champion.
Yes, we didn't talk about Rev Pro. I didn't watch the Rev Pro. So now I got spoiled, Scotty.
Well, I didn't spoil anything else.
Yeah, that is true.
But she won the women's belts, which tells me Stephanie Vaquera was winning the women's belts.
What is she doing? Where is she?
I think the last report was like something about Visa.
That makes sense because you have to change the owner of the visa.
Change the company or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So I guess a couple months, maybe. Still, I don't know how long.
Yeah, I would guess probably sometime around the NXT CW debut.
Those CMLL guys haven't come back, so I'm going to assume it's a couple months. Maybe Royal Rumble. Maybe that's when we see her. We'll see. Well, I guess we'll see. Is she showing up on NXT No Mercy next week? A show that we have not talked about and will not talk about.
Oh, that could be Julia's debut.
That could be Julia's debut. Well, what's the Roxanne Perez match? Is it any
Julia
good?
versus it's Roxanne. No, it's not. It's Roxanne Perez versus Jada Parker.
Jada Parker.
This NXT show.
Jada Parker is the female member of Out the Mud, if I'm not mistaken.
Damn right she is.
That's
this
right.
Show.
This
show stinks.
Okay, we'll look at that real quick. NXT Women's North American Title match: Kalani Jordan versus Wendy Chu, who I don't remember what her gimmick is now, but she's like a zombie or something. I don't know.
I just know she knocked out an MMA fighter with a pillow. It gets better. Keep going.
NXT Tag Team Title match: Andre Chase and Rich Holland defend their newly acquired titles against former champions Axiom and Nathan Frazier. So
that's not the part. That's whatever.
Yeah.
It's after this.
NXT North American Title match: Oba Femi versus Tony D'Angelo.
Ooh, here we go, baby! It's that main event. That is the main event's the Ryan Knightsey special. That's what Ryan Knightsey watches pro wrestling for.
Before we get there, of course, the previously named NXT Women's Title match: Roxanne Perez versus Jada Parker, and then your main event, a main event anywhere, especially the Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado. A main event in any place: Ethan Page versus Joe Hendry. And at that moment, my wife has come in, looking angry for some reason, with a peach in her hand.
Oh, we got the peach!
I offered you a peach earlier because I wanted your thoughts on it. And you said no. And now Scotty asked you to eat a peach because he wants your thoughts on it.
I just wanted it viewed live on air. Thank you, everyone. You're welcome. Here's a big moment.
Well, before it was just enjoying a peach for my own sake, which I don't really like peaches. Afterwards, now it's content. now it has value. So what do I do? Just take a bite out of it, like an apple. How do I eat this? What? Eat it like what? You gotta get on microphone if you're gonna talk. Come on.
Eat it like an apple.
Eat it like an apple. Just bite into this thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you didn't call me by my name at all, did you?
I don't know.
Okay, good. Moving on.
Here we go.
But I did Phantom Thread it.
Oh
yeah. By the way, it's juicy. That's why I got you that.
I spilled all over myself. I hope you got a good sound there, Scotty. Sounds like there was. It's not bad. I wouldn't bite into it ever again.
That's insane. You gotta rate it out of 5 stars.
Out of 5 stars, 3.5.
Wow, higher than most of the All In card. I got my joke in. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Here you go. I don't want this anymore. All right. You want to say anything to the people?
I hope you're happy.
I am. I love you. All right. Yes. Goodbye, everybody. We'll be back next week for Ruthless Radio Nights. Match of the week. I don't think we're doing a match of the week here.
Oh, I have a match of the week.
Okay, perfect. Please.
Because I watched wrestling this week. Some of us had to watch a lot of wrestling this week, unlike you. You know, the M1 only works on weekends, so you don't have to watch nothing.
Next week, Connor Houston is trying to remind us in chat. Stardom Finals. Connor, we already talked about that.
Yeah, we got the Stardom Finals covered. We got the Stardom Finals covered. We got the beginning of Marigold. We got Bash in Berlin. We got.
He also brought up TNA Emergence, NWA 76, and the MLW.
Connor, don't bring up the NWA 76. Do not.
This is a 2-hour show. I cut stuff to fit in how much talk we're gonna have about AEW.
It's funny you say the 2-hour show as if we've stayed within 2 hours ever of the past 5 months.
Yeah, the goal.
This is the first show you tried to.
Yeah,
and it was the one that we reviewed a pay-per-view right after. It's fine though because I'm tired.
my
match of the week.
I went to bed at midnight after having alcohol, obviously, and I woke up at 4 in the morning. I'm extremely tired.
My match of the week: Julia versus Mai Sakurai. Mai Sakurai's performance of a lifetime. Thank you.
Wow, hot damn.
She headbutted Julia. It was real.
My match of the week, because I definitely did watch wrestling this week. Where is the show? Beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, bop, bop, beep. I should have pulled this up. My match of the week, I definitely watched this show. I watched other stuff as well, but I'm going to go something off of this card. I'll just say was... I'll say, because I caught up the Summer Sizzler Rev Pro show in anticipation for the 12-year anniversary show for Rev Pro. I'll say Luke Jacobs versus Trevor Lee. I thought that was a really good match. I think I was an outlier a little bit, but I like that match at the 3.5.
What's the 3.5? 3.5.
Mm-hmm. I think people were a little lower than that, but I enjoyed it. It was interesting seeing Trevor Lee now, post WWE. Not like he didn't return. He's not returned to that. What was it? Caveman gimmick, or not caveman, but what was his gimmick? I don't remember what
Harry.
He was Harry. He had black trunks, and that was a series or whatever. I don't remember. He hasn't returned to that gimmick. He's kind of just continuing doing his WWE stuff. The problem being though now is that he doesn't have the character, so he's just kind of like a white meat babyface nowadays. So I'm interested to see how it folds out. But he's still very good and still very strong as a wrestler. So I'm interested to see more of him moving forward. I just don't know exactly what that will be. But yeah, so that is it. Again, at Ryan Nicely on Twitter, at Scott E Wrestling on Twitter, full network at Count Out Pod. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you get YouTube. Make sure if you somehow miss the Stardom finals or miss previous topics, we'll have all that audio for you on wherever podcasting app you so choose. And make sure while you're there, subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the Count Out Network podcast feed so you can listen to all of our great shows. Go over to Patreon, $5 tier, $3 tier, whatever you so choose. But the $5 tier, we'll have that last episode and Wondering tomorrow. And it has the first 3 episodes of Mascara Madness that I've done. I obviously did the Sin Cara episode that we talked about last week. And I did an episode from Dragon Gate, RED versus Masquerade. The match where Dragon Dia
I've seen that match.
Loses their mask from 2021. Yes. So we talked about that as episode 3. And episode 4, what was episode 4? It hasn't been recorded yet, but it is going to be Blue Demon versus El Mathematico. So I'm interested to see how that shapes out. But I think it's a really fun series. I think if you want to listen to like a little bit of lucha with some historical context, that's where you'll get it from Mascara Madness. That's it for this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. We will be back next week at the nighttime for an all brand new episode. So until then, goodbye, everybody.